Spade, great to be here with you guys today. Caitlin Clark calling out referees by name. While Stephanie White is busy scared at the press conference, oh, I don't want to say anything. Caitlin Clark saying, nope, I'm going to speak about it. While Stephanie White isn't even saying DeWanna Bonner or Alyssa Thomas's name in the press conference, sticking up for her players, Stephanie White, all you had to do in the press conference was say, hey, the players on the other team, they were playing dirty all game long. DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, those two guys were playing dirty.
She did not yell. She did not throw anything. She did not storm off the court. She clapped her hands. And somehow, that single moment sent the entire Women's National Basketball Association into a full-blown crisis. Because what happened next, the press conference, the name she dropped, the challenge she threw at the league office, none of it was supposed to go down like this. Caitlin Clark just pulled back the curtain on a system that has been hiding in plain sight for years, and the people running that system are scrambling to figure out what to do about her. This is the story of how one clap became the most dangerous thing to happen to professional basketball officiating in a very long time. It started during a regular season game, the kind of moment that happens dozens of times every night across professional sports. The game was physical, the energy was high, and Clark fired herself up the way any competitor would. She clapped her hands, not at a referee, not in anyone's face. She clapped the way athletes do when they want to lock in, when the adrenaline is flowing and the game is on the line. And a whistle blew. Technical foul. The room, both on the court and watching from home, went quiet for a second. Then the chaos started. Clark is not the type of player to pretend a bad call did not happen. She walked up to the official, calmly but directly, and asked a simple question. Why did I just get a technical foul? The answer she received would become the most talked about officiating explanation in recent WNBA memory.
Game, and you're refereeing my games, and my fans see who's refereeing. That's the one. That Gerta, that's the one who we need to look out for. That's the one who might be placing some bets underneath the table, allegedly. Let's get right into it, shall we? Like the video, hype the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. Caitlin Clark going extra viral for her comments after the game. Quote, I got a technical for clapping, so we should all just go up.
The referee, identified as Gerta, told her it was for clapping and instigating. Let that sit for a moment. Clapping and instigating, as if the act of pressing your palms together in competitive excitement is now a punishable offense in professional basketball. Clark's response was sharp, composed, and completely honest. She told the referee, and we're paraphrasing here, that if that is the standard being applied, then the league simply does not want competitive basketball. And honestly, it is difficult to argue with that logic. Before we go any further, if you're finding this interesting, go ahead and drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps more than you might think, and we have a lot more of this kind of content coming your way. Now back to the story. What made the press conference afterwards so different from the usual post-game responses was what Clark chose to do with her platform. Most athletes, especially younger ones still building their careers, give the standard line. They talk about the next game. They say they trust the process. They avoid conflict. Clark did the opposite. She looked directly at the cameras and said the referee's name out loud. Gerta, not just a vague complaint about officiating, not a carefully worded statement about the league standards. A name, one specific name, spoken clearly so that every fan, every media outlet, every league executive would know exactly who she was talking about.
Extra viral for her comments after the game. Quote, I got a technical for clapping, so we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball, and that's just facts. Now, the thing with Caitlin Clark, when she feels she deserves technical fouls, she'll come out in the press conference and say, you know what? I deserved that one. You know what? I earned that technical foul. She's done that on multiple.
That is an extraordinary thing to do. It is the kind of move that takes real confidence or real frustration or Probably both. Naming an official is essentially drawing a line in the sand and saying, I am not going to pretend this was a random, faceless decision. There's a person behind this whistle, and the world deserves to know who that person is. And then she went further. Clark mentioned, in front of the cameras, that fans and people around the league would be watching who referees her games going forward. She brought up allegations, things that are being whispered about in basketball circles, questions about whether certain officials might have interests that extend beyond just calling a fair game. She was careful to say allegedly, but she said it out loud, on camera, for the entire world to hear. That is not a post-game vent. That is a declaration.
I don't understand it at all.
So even within that, though, how aware do you have to be of the 8 technical fouls?
I mean, I'm going to play with emotion. I'm going to play with passion. And if they're going to give me a technical foul for clapping, then so be it. That's their choice. And the league can come back and review that play. And I'd love to hear what they say of the reasoning of why I got the technical foul in that situation and why other players on their team didn't get a technical foul in that situation. If anything, split it. Okay, fine. Everybody gets a technical foul. That wasn't how they were handed out. So I'd love to know. But obviously, that's what I went to Gerta and said. I said, why'd you give me a technical foul? She said, because I was clapping and instigating. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball. Damn. And that's just facts. That's just reality.
To understand why this moment matters so much, you have to understand the broader pattern that Clark has been experiencing throughout her time in the league. It is not just one bad call. It is a cumulative picture that has been building game by game, incident by incident. On one side of the court, players have been throwing elbows, delivering late hits, and engaging in the kind of physical intimidation that most referees are supposed to flag immediately. Dana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas, two players who have faced accusations of rough, borderline dirty play in games involving Clark, have gone largely unchecked. Shoves, hard fouls, the kind of contact that is clearly designed to rattle an opponent rather than play defense, have been allowed to continue without consequence. Then Clark claps, and the whistle comes out instantly. If you watch the pattern closely, it becomes almost impossible to explain away as coincidence. When the physical contact is directed at Clark, officials appear to let it go. When Clark responds emotionally, even in the most minor, non-aggressive way imaginable, the consequences come swiftly. Clark herself pointed out the inconsistency in the press conference with a level of precision that made the question impossible to dodge. She asked why, if clapping is worth a technical foul, the players on the opposing team who were doing far more instigating did not receive the same treatment. And if things were considered so heated that a technical needed to be issued, why was it not split between both sides? Why was she the only one penalized? The league has not provided a satisfying answer to that question. And until they do, the impression being left on fans is a damaging one.
I went to Gerta and I said, why'd you give me a technical foul? She said, because I was clapping and instigating. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball. Damn. And that's just facts. That's just reality. So disappointing from them.
Damn, she made sure we all know her name. Gerta. She made sure we all know Gerta's name moving forward. Gerta. Yeah, why did I get a technical foul and everybody else on the other team didn't get a technical foul? If we're handing out technical fouls for clapping, how come I got a technical and nobody else did? Gerta. Oh, you just don't like competitive basketball then? Oh, okay.
There is another piece to this puzzle that has not received nearly enough attention, and that is the role of the Indiana Fever's head coach, Stephanie White. When a player is being physically targeted, when officiating decisions appear to be consistently skewed against one athlete, it is a coach's job to stand up and say something. Not in vague, diplomatic language. Not in carefully worded statements designed to avoid controversy. A coach stands up and names what is happening. Stephanie White has not done that. In press conferences where Clark has been visibly frustrated and clearly fighting an uphill battle both on the court and against the officiating, White has stuck to generalities. She has not mentioned Bonner. She has not mentioned Thomas. She has not named the referees who have been making questionable calls. She has not publicly defended her star player in any meaningful way that would put pressure on the league to take a closer look at what is happening. This matters because it puts Clark in an almost impossible position. She is not just absorbing hard fouls on the court. She is doing it without a coach willing to fight publicly on her behalf. The superstar of your team, The reason your franchise is relevant on a national level is walking into press conferences alone and taking on the entire officiating establishment by herself, and the head coach is giving non-answers in the room next door.
That makes sense to me. League. Gerta. And then she even followed up. Hey, how does this, the guy followed up, hey, how does this make you change moving forward? That doesn't. It doesn't. You want to team up for clapping? Go ahead. You want to team me up for clapping and showing competitiveness? Go ahead. I'd love to see it, Gerta. Oh, yeah. And that's just facts. What a effing demon. I'm loving I don't give a F anymore, CC. She's tired of the BS with these.
At some point, that disconnect has to be addressed. Either White gets louder, or Clark is going to keep fighting this war on her own. And frankly, based on what we have seen, Clark seems prepared to do exactly that. Here is where the story takes a turn that the WNBA's front office absolutely did not see coming. Clark is not just a basketball player. She is, at this point in the league's history, the single most commercially valuable asset women's professional basketball has ever produced. The numbers back this up completely. When Caitlin Clark plays, ratings climb in ways the league has never experienced before. When Clark is on the court, tickets sell out, merchandise moves, social media explodes. The entire media ecosystem around the WNBA has been transformed by her presence. And the league's broadcast partners know this. Peacock knows it. NBC knows it. Amazon Prime knows it. These are companies that signed massive deals with the WNBA specifically because of what Clark represents. They did not sign those deals to have her sitting on a bench in street clothes because she got suspended for clapping. Clark understands this leverage better than most people realize. When she stood in front of those cameras and basically dared the league to go ahead and put the suspension on the calendar right now, she was not just venting frustration. She was reminding everyone in that room, and everyone watching at home, exactly how this business actually works. You do not bench the person responsible for your record-breaking ratings because she hurt a referee's feelings. You do not suspend the athlete that your broadcast partners paid a premium to televise. Clark looked the league directly in the eye and said, go ahead and try it. See how your business partners react. See how the fans react. See what it does to your revenue when you sit down the one person making all of this work. That is not the move of someone who is scared. That is the move of someone who has done the math and knows exactly where the power actually sits. Beyond the business calculation, there is a simpler, more human dimension to Clark's frustration that should not be overlooked. She is not, by any measure, a player who complains about every call. That is actually what makes this moment so significant. Throughout the season, there have been instances where Clark received technical fouls that she acknowledged were deserved. She walked out of those press conferences and said, openly and without hesitation, that she earned the call, that she lost her composure, that the referee was right. She has taken accountability for her own behavior on multiple occasions. So when she comes out of the game and tells the entire world that this technical, the one for clapping, was completely unjustified, that credibility matters. She's not crying wolf. She is someone who has a clear and honest track record of knowing the difference between a fair call and a bad one. And this time, she is saying loudly and without apology that what happened was not fair. When a player who openly admits her own mistakes turns around and says this situation was different, people should pay attention. The explanation she received from Gerta made everything worse, not better. Being told that clapping was classified as instigating is one of the most subjective and vague officiating justifications imaginable. It is the kind of explanation that gives referees unlimited power to punish athletes they do not like under the cover of language flexible enough to apply to almost anything. Clark recognized it immediately. She pushed back on it calmly and directly, and then she went public with it, because if the league is going to apply standards this loose and this selective, the fans deserve to know. Caitlin Clark walking into that press conference and naming Gerta was the moment that something shifted. Fans started calling this version of her Demon Caitlin Clark, and honestly, the name fits. Not because she did anything wrong, not because she was aggressive or out of line, but because this version of Clark is done performing gratitude for a system that has not been protecting her. She is done being the polite rookie who keeps her head down and trusts the process. She has looked around, seen what the process actually looks like in practice, and decided she is not interested in playing along with it anymore. That transformation is electric to watch. There is something genuinely compelling about an athlete of Clark's caliber reaching the point where they simply do not care about the consequences anymore. She has earned that right through her talent and her results. She brings more value to the WNBA on any given night than almost anything else the league is going for it. And from that position, she is choosing to use her voice to force accountability instead of staying quiet to stay comfortable. She has also started to get some backup from her teammates. Myisha Hines-Allen has stepped up in recent games, getting physical with opponents who have been targeting Clark and making it clear that the Fever will not just absorb hits without a response. That kind of teammate solidarity is vital for a player who has been fighting this particular battle largely on her own. When Clark knows she has someone willing to match the energy of the opposition, she can focus more of her attention on actually playing basketball instead of managing the physical punishment being handed out on every possession. The WNBA is now in a position that every league official would prefer to avoid. There is no clean exit from this situation. If the league sides with the referee and upholds the technical foul, they are essentially confirming Clark's narrative that the officiating is biased against her. Every future bad call will be viewed through that lens. Every time a foul goes uncalled when Clark gets hit, and every time a tech gets issued when she reacts, the story will come right back to this moment. The league will have chosen the official over the player, and that choice will follow them. If, on the other hand, the league reviews the call and rescinds the technical, they are admitting that their referee made a bad decision. A very bad decision, one that was caught on camera, analyzed by millions of people, and called out publicly by the player who received it. That is not a comfortable admission for any organization, but it might be the more honest path, and it would at least begin to address the credibility problem that is forming around WNBA officiating. Clark has been explicit about what she wants. She wants the league to review the play. She wants a formal explanation of why a clap constitutes a technical foul. She wants the same scrutiny applied to her actions to be applied equally to every player on the court. These are not unreasonable requests. They are the requests of someone who believes in fair competition and is frustrated that the standards being applied do not appear to be consistent. The broader officiating culture in the league needs examination regardless of how this specific situation resolves. When referees lose control of the physical game, the instinct is often to start blowing technicals as a way of reasserting authority. But that approach tends to create more chaos, not less. Players get angrier. Coaches get louder. The product on the court suffers. Clark is pointing out that this pattern has become a recurring problem, and she is right to flag it. What makes this entire situation so fascinating is what it reveals about the kind of athlete Caitlin Clark actually is. A lot of people thought they understood her going into this season. The star shooter from Iowa, the record-breaking college player, the highlight reel. But what we have seen over the course of these confrontations is something much deeper than a scorer who can knock down threes from anywhere on the floor. We are watching a person who understands power, leverage, and narrative better than most veteran players twice her age. She is using her platform strategically, not recklessly. She picks her moments. She chooses her words. And when she decides to speak, she says things that cannot be walked back or ignored. Naming Gerta was not an accident. It was a calculated move designed to put a face on a problem that usually stays faceless. The refs hide behind their roll and their whistle, and players are expected to just accept the decisions and move on. Clark is saying that era is finished. If you're going to exert authority over her game in ways she believes are unfair, then she's going to make sure the world knows exactly who is doing it and exactly why she has a problem with it. The social media response tells you everything you need to know about how fans are receiving this. The support has been overwhelming. The clip of that post-game press conference, with Clark calmly but forcefully calling out the officiating and naming the referee, has circulated everywhere. People who do not follow the WNBA closely have watched it. Sports commentators across leagues have weighed in. The story has reached an audience far beyond the typical basketball fan base, which is exactly what Clark intended when she said what she said. There is also a conversation worth having about what this moment means for the culture of professional sports more broadly. Athletes, especially women athletes, have historically been expected to absorb bad treatment quietly and maintain a public-facing image of gratitude and humility. The expectation is that you take the hits, you take the bad calls, you smile in the press conference, and you trust the people in charge to eventually make things right. What Clark is demonstrating is that this expectation is not mandatory anymore. You can push back, you can name names, you can challenge the structures that are supposed to protect athletes, but sometimes fail to do so, and you can do it without your career imploding. In fact, her willingness to go rogue on this has made her more popular, not less. The fans who are showing up to watch Caitlin Clark play are not fans of a passive superstar who defers to authority. They are fans of someone who competes, who fights, who holds people accountable, and who does it all while producing at an elite level on a basketball court. Taking away that fire in the name of managing her public image will be the worst possible decision the Fever coaching staff could make. The version of Caitlin Clark that clapped her hands, got a technical foul for it, and then went to the press conference and burned the whole officiating system down in front of the cameras. That is the version that is going to carry this league for the next decade. And the people running the WNBA would do well to remember that. At the end of all this, the scoreboard that matters most is not the one hanging in the arena. It is the one that measures credibility and accountability. And right now, Clark is winning that game by a significant margin. She has forced the league to confront its officiating problems in public. She has put an individual referee's name in front of a national audience and asked hard questions about how decisions are being made. She has dared a league that depends on her for its survival to actually do something about it. And she has done all of this while remaining grounded in facts, honest about her own past mistakes, and clear-eyed about what fair officiating should actually look like. The league still has time to get this right. They can review the tape. They can have honest conversations about the double standards that Clark has identified. They can take steps to ensure that the physicality directed at their most marketable star is treated with the same seriousness as whatever Gerta decided a clap constituted. Or they can do nothing and watch the credibility gap between the league and its most important player continue to grow. Either way, one thing is completely clear. The era of Caitlin Clark keeping quiet to stay comfortable is over. She found her voice, she used it in the most public way possible, and there is no version of events where that changes. Every referee who steps onto the court for a Fever game now knows that their calls will be scrutinized, analyzed, and if they cross a certain line, discussed openly by the player on the other end of the whistle. That is a new kind of accountability, and frankly, it is long overdue. If this video opened your eyes to what is actually happening behind the scenes of the WNBA right now, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think the league should do next. Should they back the referee, rescind the technical, or is there something bigger going on that the league needs to address at a structural level? Let us know where you stand. We read every single one, and the conversation in the comments on this one is going to be electric.